People wore blue, candles were lit, a powerful show of support for the family of 21-month-old Lonzie Barton.
The vigil at Duck Pond Park was emotional, tearful, as we're now ending day 6 that the boy has been missing. We're staying on top of all angles of the search for this child. We begin with Channel 4's Scott Johnson, who was at the vigil tonight. Scott.
Well, Mary, when this all started before the vigil, people weren't honestly sure how many would show up. Maybe not a lot of people. That would be wrong. Hundreds showed up here in McClenny tonight, many who didn't know this family at all, but wanted to show their support. If the number of people at Lonzie's vigil is any indication in the small town of McClenny, it will show you how the disappearance of this small child has touched the community.
We're just like you guys at home looking at the TV wondering what's next. The detectives aren't telling us anything. We haven't spoken to her much.
Family members in tears, including Lonzie's father, spoke to the group in spite of the daily pain they're living with.
Your mommy loves you. Can't wait to have you back in our arms. And just thank you guys.
Lonzie's aunt says his mom would be here, but she has to watch the other child who was with Ruben Ebron the night of the disappearance, and they're trying to keep that little girl as far away from the news of her brother as possible.
Literally, she's not been able to talk most days. Her grandmother is so upset. She wants you all to know from the bottom of her heart, every prayer, everyone that is out there putting their time into it, we appreciate it. We're so thankful.
The blue balloons were released as blue ribbons adorned everyone. The color was chosen to match Lonzie's blue eyes, which his family prays they see again.
It is overwhelming to us, the outpour of support and genuine concern for Lonzie's safe return.
And after the vigil was over, I was approached by Chris Barton's ex-wife, who wanted to say something in defense of Lonzie's mother, telling me there have been a lot of critics of what kind of mother she was and what she did for a living. She wanted to say something publicly, and I gave her that opportunity.
To the people who keep saying, why hasn't she pleaded publicly for her kids? I don't see how parents do. I myself would be a slobbering mess and wouldn't want a camera in my face. And so what? Lana was a stripper. And so what? The media keeps digging up stuff on her. The main issue here is Lonzie Aaron. His family loves and misses him dearly. There's been lots of support, and I'm sure they are grateful for that. But to the ones that keep bashing and judging, look in your own backyard before you do. Show some compassion. Be caring and loving instead of hateful and judging. No parent deserves to lose their baby, no matter what they've done.
And I talked to people from Jacksonville, from Lake Butler, who were coming here, didn't know this family, but just wanted to come and show their support because this story touched them so much. We're live in McClenny. Scott Johnson, Channel 4, the local station.
Thank you, Scott. And another big show of support for Lonzie's family is planned for this Friday on the South Side. More than 200 people have already agreed to attend a vigil and walk for Lonzie at 4:30 Friday afternoon at Baker Skinner Park. People attending are encouraged to wear blue, just as they did tonight.
The search is now moving for the first time to the north side. After 6 days of focusing on part of the south side, police are adding a large area north of downtown, reaching all the way to the Nassau County line. All the while, we're told the suspect who remains in jail is still not cooperating. Rob is joining us with an update on the investigation. Rob?
Yeah, Tom. Chief Tom Hackney announced today that there is now a $4,000 reward for the person who can lead detectives to Lonzie Barton's body. Hackney says he is still narrowing down the search area on the north side, but says crews have started searching an area that borders I-95, the Trout River, all the way to the Nassau County line. With that in mind, he's asking businesses in that area to look back at their surveillance footage to see if Ruben Ebron's orange Honda with a black hood was in their area last week. Police are still trying to pinpoint Ebron's whereabouts from 7 p.m. Thursday to about 2 a.m. Friday. With 2,500 acres and 40 bodies of water already searched, the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office says it's leaving no stone unturned when it comes to finding 21-month-old Lonzie Barton. With no help from Ruben Ebron, the man last seen with the boy, Chief Tom Hackney says he has no choice but to expand the search. He hopes someone may finally lead them to Lonzie.
We're moving a part of our operation from the south side up to the north side.
One of their best clues is Ebron's 1995 orange and black Honda Civic. His hunch is that store surveillance on the north side may give investigators a timeline as to what Ebron was doing in the hours before Lonzie was reported missing.
Find that car. That car is very distinctive. Luckily for the investigation, it's orange and it sticks out like a sore thumb.
There are dozens of cameras all along the north side. Some of the clearest footage comes from Bargain Max on North Main Street.
I try to look at the camera, and maybe if anything I heard from it, I should be called a cop, and I should be called a cop. They show up outside on the street. They show up on the sidewalk. They show up the sidewalks in the street, and I got about 2 locations to show up completely. It's be 24 hours.
Now, investigators hope these pictures of the Honda taken at night may show what it looks like on surveillance. Anyone with footage is asked to take a good look. Now, in the meantime, police plan to set up a command center on the north side, similar to the one that's on the south side of town now. Tom?
Thank you, Rob. Even more resources are now being used in this painstaking search. The sheriff's office has called in a specialized team of FBI behavioral analysts to try to crack the story Ebron has been telling detectives. Police are also digging into cell phone data to possibly track Ebron's movements. A local engineering professor says because cell phones ping off nearby towers, the data they give off can be a big help to police.
They'd be able to get those records from the phone company and look at where the phone had logged, what towers it had logged on. And they know where the towers are, so then they can basically draw a circle around the towers and say, okay, within this circle, we're pretty confident that's where the phone was at that time.
Dr. Kopp says the technology cannot pinpoint exact spots just yet, but it could get police within a couple of blocks of where the phone was, whether the phone was in use or not. However, we're told if the phone was turned off or the battery was dead, no such data would be available.
Earlier this week, the chief leading the investigation into Lonzie Barton's disappearance said there was one simple thing people could do to help: pray. Tonight, Channel 4's Francesca Amaker spoke with a chaplain of a local church who made the search for the little boy the topic of his sermon tonight. Francesca.
Well, Mary, so many people are calling our newsroom, writing on our Facebook, tweeting us, asking what they can do to help find baby Lonzie. And officials and the pastor that I spoke to says one thing you can do is pray, and you can do it from anywhere. As night falls and law enforcement prepare to search for Lonzie Barton for a 7th day, Chief Tom Hackney is now relying on more than just search teams.
I don't know if it's unusual or not, but what I personally do and what people can do to help is pray. You know, I mentioned Sunday. It was Sunday, go to church and pray.
And for that reason, people across the state are using church services to pray for the child's return home.
Here at this church, we believe in prayer. We've been lifting up the law enforcement officers and Lonzie, their family, and praying for resolution.
Prayer, it's one word, but for members of this congregation, it can mean a world of difference for those spending days searching for the 21-month-old.
For God will bring every act to judgment.
Wednesday night, Pastor Clarence Gerald, who also works as the chaplain for the Fraternal Order of Police, held a Bible study for members to hear the Word of God. He also spoke on God using law enforcement as a vessel during this time.
Paul identified law enforcement as ministers of God. It says in it, for they are the ministers of God to thee for good. So law enforcement is an arm of God's grace and God's love and compassion toward a community. And they've been doing God's work over the last several days.
Days that may have taken a physical toll on the officers and firefighters working to canvass through heavy woods and ponds daily. But this pastor says they will continue to uplift the hardworking crews and the family of Lonzie Barton spiritually.
They've been laboring and sweating and putting in the hours day and night trying to locate that child, and we're lifting them up, believing that they're going to continue to do the work of God that God has ordained that they do. We know this one thing, that wherever Lonzie is, Jesus is there with him.
The days continue to go on. These crews are getting tired. So to show your support, please, you are asked to wear blue and pray. We're now reporting live in the studio. Francesca Amaker, Channel 4, the local station.